Hi Aries, and welcome to your horoscope for 2024. I'm really excited about this horoscope because we're entering a new era here. It's a very significant shift. And the reason I say that is because on the 21st of January 2024, we have Pluto, the planet of transformation and change, death and rebirth, the phoenix rising from the ashes. It shifts from Capricorn and it moves into Aquarius. Now, if you look at your birth chart and you put the transits around it, you'll notice that Pluto moves very, very slowly, and it only touches about 3 or 4 houses in your chart in an entire lifetime. So for this planet to change signs signifies that society is going to change and that the way we think and operate is going to be very, very different. So this is the end of an era in the most literal way possible. It has been in Capricorn, Pluto that is, since 2008. And if you think about some of the things that were going on in the world in 2008, we had the credit crunch, and then we've had Pluto stay in Capricorn in the 2010s. And now in the last few years, most of us have noticed changes in the way we work and the way we operate, and also how institutions have influenced our lives. So with this shift from Capricorn, the earth sign of the worker, moving into Aquarius, which is an air sign, which has to do with teaching and being a humanitarian. It's known as the water bearer, even though it is an air sign, because it's about letting go of the past and letting go of things that feel negative and replacing them with the new. So with this shift, you'll notice fundamentally that you'll start to value ideas over institutions. Freedom becomes much more important. And it's not just you guys, Aries, who'll have that experience, it's everyone. It will influence you in particular areas, which I'll go to in a minute, but it's fundamentally about this open-mindedness, being kind of aligned with revolution and radical new ideas. Aquarius also rules astrology and technology, so there are going to be major advances in those areas. It's idealism over control, and this shift more or less starts now and it lasts until 2044. So when I say more or less, Pluto does move very, very slowly. So it's moving into Aquarius here on the 21st of January. It retrogrades back into Capricorn on the 2nd of September. And it stays there until the 19th of November when it moves back into Aquarius. But then it's all systems go in Aquarius all the way through until 2044. So the next 21 years are really going to be very different than what we've experienced since 2008. And how this manifests for you guys, Aries specifically, is that Pluto moves out of your 10th house of career in the sign of Capricorn, and it shifts into your 11th house of hopes and dreams and your connections with other people. So the focus is going to be far less on my job, what it is, how do I operate within this framework. That becomes far less relevant, and what you become interested in is what are my hopes and dreams for the future, rather than slotting into some job which already exists out there. How can I create my own job? How can I do things that stem from within, and how can I invent and how can I change the fabric of society through my own personal contribution? So that's really big. And you guys as Aries, you're ruled by Mars, the planet of drive and ambition, and often independence and doing things on your own. So you guys are really going to benefit from this, because it's not so much about what's available to me, it's more about what could be in future. And if other people think that way as well, it kind of makes sense that there's a real kind of potential for things to shift significantly. So that's the first thing that really I find very, very important. Also, on the 1st of January, which is very symbolic as far as I'm concerned, the first day of this new year, we have Mercury, the communication planet, that goes direct. So it's been in retrograde since the 12th of December 2023. It starts to move forward again on the 1st of January. And when Mercury is direct, there are fewer problems with communications, sending emails, picking up your luggage at the baggage claim at the airport. There's less room for error. But where it has been is in your 9th house. And when it starts to go retrograde, it's still in Sagittarius in your ninth house for the first week or two of 2024. So make plans for the future, make plans for what you want to achieve in this new year. It's not even so much that you need to make plans for the future. You'll naturally feel motivated and inspired to say, okay, everything else is in the past now. This is what I've got. What am I going to build with it? So it's a great sense of optimism and enthusiasm about what could be. Mercury only retrogrades 3 times in 2024. So it can retrograde 3 or 4 times, creating kind of a slower pace, issues when it comes to communication. So that we have 3 rather than 4 in 2024 also bodes well, because the pace is going to be very quick. Just to give you an idea of when the retrogrades are happening. So this one is over. It goes direct on the 1st of January. Then it goes back into retrograde on the 1st of April until the 25th of April. Then the 5th of August until the 28th of August. And near the end of the year, 25th of November through until the 15th of December. When we get nearer to the time, I'll look at how that affects you specifically. But this one here is really about, I'm willing to look at things differently. The future can change because I can operate and I can think in new and challenging and exciting ways that I haven't done in the past. Therefore, the results I'm getting are going to look different too. Venus is the personal planet of love, beauty, and creativity. And the good news is that in 2024, it doesn't go retrograde at all. So when Venus goes retrograde, I always mention that it's not the best time to start a new business or to get into a new relationship because your perception may be off. And when the planet goes direct, then you're like, oh, what was I thinking there? I'm not really so interested in this area or this person. What was that all about? And that's Venus retrograde. So the fact that Venus is direct all year means again that the pace is very quick. You're able to focus on realizing your hopes and dreams in your working life, in your career, and you'll be able to make huge inroads into that. And also your ruler Mars, the planet of drive and ambition, that is direct for most of the year. It only retrogrades once towards the end on the 6th of December, and it retrogrades until the 23rd of February 2025. So even on that you can rely on. And all of these things are saying to me that this is a year where you can get a lot done and where you can really take charge of your life and say, this is what I want to do with it. So I want to look at a couple of specific things that are going on here. First of all, on the 27th of January, Uranus, the planet of the miraculous and unexpected, and also the planet that rules Aquarius, the sign that Pluto is now in, that goes direct. And it's been in retrograde since the 28th of August 2023. So with Uranus going direct, the unexpected and the miraculous is much more likely to appear in your external circumstances, in your everyday life. So there's much more room to adapt and to change because things aren't so set in stone. They feel much lighter and much more susceptible to new ideas and different ways of doing things. The next really significant thing is on the 25th of March, we have a lunar eclipse in Libra, which I would say is your nemesis in a way, because you, Aries, are the first sign of the zodiac. Libra is the 7th, so it's directly opposite you. And the lunar eclipse in Libra is going to happen in your 7th house of relationships. So this is now a shift in the sense of, how do I present myself in relationships? What do I want to get out of my relationships? Is the way I operate serving me? Is it serving other people? Or should I change those? So the beginning of the year, January, February, is very much about what are my hopes and dreams for the future, especially in my work. And now you're able to shift gears and perfect your relationships as such and really take actions which are going to have a positive impact on the people you interact with. On the 8th of April, we have a solar eclipse, and that is in your sign of Aries. So the sun being in your sign of Aries, being kind of blocked out for a little bit, is very similar because now I'm not so much focusing on my relationships. I did that like 2 weeks ago. What I'm interested in now is how I operate. So it's you taking a huge amount of responsibility and most importantly, being willing to change things about the way you present yourself, the way you appear in life and in the world. And it allows you again to perfect the way you move forward and the way you operate. So if you find that you're doing things on your own and you don't really delegate, or that you haven't been very interested in relationships, and that's any kind of relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, family, that something significant will shift. You become much more passionate about that area in your life, but also you're able to make changes. It's one thing to say, oh, I'm not particularly satisfied with it, and then to feel stuck with it. It's another to say, oh, I realize this isn't working for me, so I'm going to do it differently in future. So it's massively empowering. On the 2nd of May, Pluto starts to retrograde until the 11th of October. So this is what I mentioned earlier when it goes back into Capricorn for a little bit. This is where it starts to go backwards and get nearer to Capricorn. And in your case, Aries, it oscillates between the 11th house of what your dreams are for the future and what you're now thinking about. And it allows you to revisit what you've done already from September to November, to make the final changes, to adapt things so that you can really leap off into something completely different if you choose, when it comes to the way you create an income for yourself. On the 26th of May, we've got Jupiter, the lucky planet, going into Gemini, and that moves from your 2nd house of finance and belongings, where it's been for a while next to Uranus. So financially, the first 5 months of the year, you're really able to put things in place in a serious way. So you're operating on 2 levels. You've got all these new ideas and you're able to take good practical action up until May to change your financial circumstances, not just your financial circumstances. The 2nd house is anything that relates to your things, your belongings, the structure of your life. And on the 26th of May, it goes into Gemini in your 3rd house. So all the things you learned during the eclipses earlier in the year, you'll have a great sense of, I want to express this now. I want to show other people how I've changed or how I've made changes that work better for me. And I kind of want to bring them along and share this message that change is good, and it can be good and it can benefit us. It doesn't always have to feel uncomfortable. Moving into June, on the 29th, we've got Saturn going retrograde until the 15th of November. And this is amazing because it goes retrograde in your 12th house of spirituality and spiritual strength. And Saturn is your foundation. So from July onwards, you really have this sense of certainty and ease when it comes to this feeling of course I'm taken care of course I'm loved. It's almost like a done deal, and you don't feel as anxious over making changes, so that becomes even easier as you continue on. And then on the 2nd of July, we've got Neptune also in your 12th house in Pisces, in the sign that it rules. So Neptune is very happy there. And it sits nearby Saturn. It's 10 degrees away from it. That also goes retrograde until the 7th of December. So when any planet is retrograde, the influence starts to appear from within. When it goes direct, you experience it in the external world. So Neptune is the dream, Saturn is security. From July until December 2024, your intuition is going to feel much more accessible, and you're likely to trust it much more easily rather than dismissing it and saying, oh, I'm just making this up. On the 1st of September, Uranus, the planet that rules Aquarius, that goes retrograde until the 30th of January 2025. So the path of Uranus is somewhat chaotic anyway, but this is the 2nd retrograde that we've got, changing things up, creating change and kind of throwing your circumstances up in the air so that they are pliable and moldable, that you can work with them. And it's the planet that rules Pluto in Aquarius, which is still in your 11th house of hopes and dreams. So really, if I have an idea for the future that I'd like to realize, it's super easy. You're not going to feel a sense of anxiety or uncertainty. It's almost like the one thing I do desire is change. So you can, as an Aries, really devote yourself to that and throw yourself into it. So if you want to change your entire life, 2024 is the year to do it. On the 17th of September, we have another lunar eclipse, and that happens in Pisces. Let me just go to the 17th of September. There we go. And that is in your, let's see, 17th of September. Yes, that's in Pisces, next to Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, in your 12th house of spirituality and again, spiritual strength. It's opposed by the Sun in Virgo. So this is an ongoing process of connecting to the higher realms and having that sense of this is information that I can rely on, and I let my higher self guide me into taking practical action steps. So you've got all of these wonderful new ideas. You've got this willingness to change. With this eclipse here on the 17th, you've also got the practical know-how to actually affect change so that you're not misstepping and having to undo errors or anything like that. On the 2nd of October, we have a solar eclipse in Libra, second eclipse in Libra. So the focus is usually on your relationships and what you can do to improve those through adapting the self. And I'm not saying that you're kind of minimizing yourself, but you just become much more aware of things that don't work. So, if I go up on stage and if I want to do my talk and I notice that no one's listening after 5 minutes, then I may start to twig, maybe there's something about my presentation here that could be improved. It's that kind of thing. It's a really gentle guide to making personal improvements that then show up in your relationships. And finally, we've got Jupiter going retrograde on the 9th of October until the 4th of February, and that happens in your 3rd house. So it's this constant process of I'm reassessing and then I'm expressing it. And then I go back and perfect the things that I've got, tie up loose ends and replace it with better ideas or new ideas that feel much more aligned with where I'm at now and where I want to go. So if you found that, the last few months or years, you haven't really felt a sense of control over your circumstances, or you haven't really had a sense of, I'm navigating somewhere I want to go, like I have a 1 year or 2 year plan and I have certain goals in mind, which you as an Aries will naturally be able to tap into. 2024 gives you this back and forth between what is, what could be, and how can I adapt the self to get myself there easily and smoothly. So I hope that gives you an idea of what you'll be working with in 2024. I'm really excited about this because Pluto in Capricorn has been somewhat heavy. And we've had institutions and governments and, the powers that be telling us this is the way it is and you have to comply and there are no other options. And now we've got options, which, hooray, I really like. So yes, I hope this has been useful. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me. In my personal readings, I draw up your chart the way I've drawn up this chart, and I can see your life purpose, strengths, weaknesses, what's coming up in future. So if you would like to speak to me for a personal reading, please do get in touch. Have a wonderful 2024, and I'll speak to you here on the channel for the weekly horoscopes, the monthly horoscopes, and the daily tarot readings that I do as well. Have a great time, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.